Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Security Spot. Today, we're gonna have just two articles, or well, tonight, I guess, we're gonna have just two articles. Um, there wasn't really much more in the way of cyber news this week that I can recall, this past week. There was a massive one, though, as you can see here. You've probably already heard about by now, but on the off chance you haven't, here's a video from the Security Spot on it. So, yeah, let's get into it. Massive leak shows how a Chinese company is exporting the Great Firewall to the world. Geej Networks, a company with ties to the founder of China's mass censorship infrastructure, is selling its censorship and surveillance systems to at least 4 other countries in Asia and Africa. And I imagine that they might have more customers for that censorship. We'll see. A leak of more than 10,000 documents shows that a little-known Chinese company has been quietly selling censorship systems seemingly modeled on the Great Firewall to governments around the world. Geej Networks, a company founded in 2018 that counts the father of China's massive censorship infrastructure as one of its investors, styles itself as a network monitoring provider, offering business-grade cybersecurity tools to gain comprehensive visibility and minimize security risks for its customers, the documents show. Now, when we're talking about business-grade cybersecurity, some of you might know what OSINT is, open source intelligence. One of the ways companies deal with open source intelligence is by controlling the dissemination of the information into the open source environment, which in this case is the internet or the media. Now, keep that in mind when we're talking about governments, controlling the flow or the dissemination of intelligence or information. Alright, let's continue. For its customers, the documents show. In fact, researchers found that it has been operating a sophisticated system that allows users to monitor online information, block certain websites and VPN tools, and spy on specific individuals. Researchers who reviewed the leaked material found that the company is able to package advanced surveillance capabilities in what amounts to a commercialized version of the Great Firewall, a wholesale solution with both hardware that can be installed in any telecom data center and software operated by local government officers. The documents also discuss desired functions that the company is working on, such as cyber attack for hire and geofencing certain users. Remember when I mentioned earlier in some videos that cybersecurity is inherently political and there's no way to get around that? Yeah, we're coming back to that again. This is basically like a digital mercenary system, is my understanding at least. I could be wrong. Anyways, let's move away from that. According to the leaked documents, Geej has already entered operation in Kazakhstan, Ethiopia, Pakistan, and Myanmar, as well as another unidentified country. A public job posting shows that Geej is also looking for engineers who can travel to other countries for engineering work, including to several countries not named in the leaked documents, Wired has found. The files, including Jira and Confluence entries, source code, and corresponds with a Chinese academic institution, mostly involve internal technical documentation, operation logs, and communications to solve issues and add functionalities. Provided through an anonymous leak, The files were studied by a consortium of human rights and media organizations, including Amnesty International, Intersect Lab, Justice for Myanmar, Paper Trail Media, the Globe and Mail, the Tor Project, the Austrian newspaper Der Standard, and Follow the Money. So, a lot of people are trying to figure out what's going on. This is not like lawful interception that every country does, including Western democracies, says Marla Rivera, a technical researcher at Intersect Lab, which is a global digital forensics research institution. In addition to mass censorship, the system allows governments to target specific individuals based on their website activities, like having visited a certain domain. The surveillance system that Gage is selling gives so much power to the government that really nobody should have, Rivera says. This is very frightening. And yeah, this is supposedly digital authoritarianism as a service. I'm just going to refer to it as cyber mercenary services. I think digital authoritarianism as a service kind of it makes things feel a bit more businessy than they are. At the core of Gage's offering is a gateway tool called the Secure Gateway, or TSG, designed to sit inside data centers and could be scaled to process the internet traffic of an entire country. Documents reveal. According to researchers, every packet of internet traffic runs through it, or it can be scanned, filtered, or stopped outright. Besides monitoring the entire traffic, documents show that the system also allows setting up additional rules for specific users that deem suspicious and collecting their network activities. For unencrypted internet traffic, the system is able to intercept sensitive information such as website content, passwords, and email attachments, according to the leaked documents. If the content is properly encrypted through the transport layer security protocol, I believe we've talked about this on Port Shorts. If we haven't, I'll make a short video on it. The system uses deep packet inspection and machine learning techniques to extract metadata from the encrypted traffic and predict whether it's going through a censorship circumvention tool like a VPN. If it can't distinguish the content of the encrypted traffic, the system can also opt to flag it as suspicious and block it for a period of time. One screenshot of the Gage dashboard from Myanmar shows that the system is monitoring 81 million internet connections simultaneously. While it can theoretically be scaled even larger with more hardware, Intersect Lab researchers say. Other documents. I'm so sorry. It's really late right now for me. Actually, it's not that late. Anyways, other documents show that as of February 2024, Gage's equipment had been installed in 26 data centers across 13 internet service providers in Myanmar. Frontier, a local telecom operator in Myanmar, previously denied having built, planned, or designed anything related to surveillance, but was found the leak to have installed Gage equipment at its data center. Investcom, a joint venture telecom operator between Burmese and Lebanese companies, said it was aware of claims relating to third-party technologies in Myanmar, but refused to confirm or deny the existence of third-party systems in a reply written to the researchers at Justice for Myanmar. Gage sells a one-stop shop of censorship solutions, including internet gateway hardware. According to Intersect Lab, Gage originally used Western brand equipment from HP and Dell, but later moved to using hardware manufactured by Chinese companies to avoid being impacted by potential sanctions. Another fundamental product of Geej is Cyber Narrator, the main user interface where non-technical government clients can access the data that TSG monitors in real time with a bird's eye view. Documents show, and screenshots of the system found in the leak. Cyber Narrator operators can see the geographic location of each mobile internet user based on their cell service communications, as well as analyze whether the user is accessing the internet through VPN services. In the case of Myanmar, internal records reveal that Geej identified 281 popular VPN tools, complete with their specs, subscription prices, and whether they can be used in Myanmar. A separate document identified 54 apps marked as higher priority for blocking. The prioritization list of tools includes mostly popular commercial services like ExpressVPN, as well as Signal, the encrypted messaging app. The documents show that Geej's technical ability is rapidly growing. I was reading through the tests and realized that they went from not blocking the most of the VPNs to blocking almost all the VPNs in months, drawing from findings of academic scholars that the company works with, says Rivera. While the leaked documents contain no record of business contracts, it discusses the client's encrypted code names. Researchers were able to pin down 4 of the foreign government clients to Kazakhstan K18 and K24, Pakistan P19, Ethiopia E21, and Myanmar M22. By combing through documents in the leak mentions of data centers, geographic locations, tracking international cargo records from Geej to other countries, and drawing from prior reporting on Chinese companies' involvement in selling censorship software. There's the additional mention of a client coded A24, but there isn't sufficient evidence to show what it refers to. Alright, based on the pattern, the first letter in the country's name is part of its code. So there's a lot of countries that start with A out there. And I'm not going to say anything political, but I'm just going to say some countries that start with A have been listed higher than others, or at least are more known than others for having greater censorship, or at least being in the process of doing so. Geej's public hiring efforts may provide more information on its potential expansion plans. On a third-party job recruitment platform in China, Geej is hiring a senior overseas operations and maintenance engineer to maintain the systems in Belt and Road countries. The job listing says it may require spending 3 to 6 months outside China, traveling to Pakistan, Malaysia, Bahrain, Algeria, and India. Separately, in March, the company is also hiring Spanish-speaking and French-speaking translators who could support Geej's overseas business. Sorry for that, by the way. I accidentally touched my mic with my hand. In Pakistan, for example, one license renewal document shows that the Geej services, including capabilities to monitor real-time stats and retain email information, were licensed to the Pakistan Telecommunication Authority in October 2024. Another Geo support ticket shows the example of an intercepted email, complete with the full content, subject, protocol, attachment, names of sender and receiver, and the IP addresses involved. Researchers believe that some Geej employees are able to access info intercepted by the client, which could be a national security risk for the client governments. Geej's experience in Pakistan also shows that it's building products on interoperable equipment to appeal to different customers. Prior to Geej coming to Pakistan, the country had worked with Sandvine, a Canadian company that supplied deep packet inspection gear before withdrawing under U.S. sanctions. When Sandvine left, its hardware remained in Pakistani data centers, according to Loic. Geej moved in to repurpose the existing infrastructure, the documents show, offering a transition to a new regime of censorship, one that would eventually run on Chinese-manufactured hardware instead. The company's ability and willingness to work with the hardware left by Sandvine should pose a warning for countries issuing export licenses for sensitive tech, says a technologist at the human rights nonprofit Amnesty International. Once it's exported, it's there and they're going to reuse it in some capacity. I think it does speak to the limits of the sanctions. Researchers caution that there's no actual documentation the week that proves Geej's system is responsible for the internet censorship that took place in a particular country, but key operation changes in the Geej tech logs correspond with notable events. In Ethiopia, for example, the system was switched from a mode that passively monitors traffic to a mode that can actively stop traffic just days before the internet shutdown in February 2023, says Rivera. In total, the week shows 18 times when the Geej gateway system in Ethiopia switched from passively monitoring to actively interfering at the expense of slowing down services. At the same time, the Canadian VPN service Siphon, which documents show can be targeted by Geej's systems, has corroborated the week's findings that they observed user behavior changes in Myanmar and can be caused by massive blocking at the ISP level around the same time Geej was deployed there. And then here's what Geej is known for inside of China. It has close ties with the forces that built China's controversial filtering and blocking system, now known as the Great Firewall. When Geej Networks was founded in 2018, it was going by a different name, one that shows its connection to Chinese Electronics Corporation, or CEC, a massive state-owned conglomerate with close ties to the country's military and security services. I'll have to look this up later, but I wonder if all those Chinese companies that are like in the same industry but all the same parent company, I wonder if those, like, OnePlus and Xiaomi and a bunch of other phone manufacturers, I wonder if they're all under the CEC. I'm not going to say that's true because I don't know if that's true, but I'll look that up later. Well, yeah, a massive state-owned conglomerate with close ties to the country's military and security services. This is the abbreviation of CEC in Chinese, and they were sanctioned by the U.S. government in 2020. What also connects the two companies is Fang Bingjing, a Chinese computer scientist who is often called the father of the Great Firewall, as he led the early development of the censorship system. Fang's work would essentially achieve what Bill Clinton compared to nailing Jello to the wall, controlling a technology that was designed to give everyone equal access to information. As tech develops, the Great Firewall has been built higher too, effectively blocking the majority of Chinese people from accessing info deemed not politically acceptable by the Chinese government, no matter if they are using computers, phones, or even cutting-edge tech like AI models. In 2019, Fang became an investor of the company Hainan Technology Investment, owning a 40% stake according to Chinese corporate records databases. Jisheng is an investor in Geej Networks and shares the same executive as the latter company. In 2024, with the help of Geej, Fang set up a new cybersecurity research studio. Gage is also re-importing lessons learned overseas to refine repression at home, records show. Years after it sold tech to other countries, Gage started targeting Chinese provincial governments for their unique needs. The region, home to millions of Uyghur Muslims, has experienced intensive digital surveillance by the Chinese government in the past decade. Gage's leaked documents show that the company is collaborating with Chinese research institutions to expand monitoring systems there. And a script of speech that was given at this branch of the Chinese Academy of Sciences in 2024 found the leak mentions that the national firewall is evolving from a centralized to a distributed model. And they've invited students from the Massive and Effective Stream Analysis or MESA lab, which is a research laboratory at the Chinese Academy of Sciences, to visit Gage's server room in this area of China, and there's photographic evidence for this. And in the leak, this whole thing was coded as J24, and it started in 2024. And there's more Chinese projects by Gage. And let's see, what else do we have? They were trying to update Cyber Narrator to construct relationship graphs between users and group individuals according to apps they use, and they want to triangulate the locations of users through mobile cell stations and create geofences for certain users. Another prototype feature found the leak is described as an individual reputation score. Each internet user starts at a baseline of 550, and it can be increased by authenticating the user's personal information, including national ID, facial recognition ID, and employment details. If the user's reputation score doesn't rise above 600, they won't be able to access the internet. It's unclear whether these features are also part of surveillance systems deployed in China or abroad, or if they're just concepts right now. Gage's ongoing attempt to unearth information from individuals is particularly worrying because the company also has the capability to inject malware into users' internet traffic, says Lee Horn, another researcher at Intersect Lab. It makes it so much easier to find a way to target an individual. Instead of trying to guess what website they visit that doesn't support HTTPS, you can just look at all their internet activity in the past, find a website that doesn't regularly use a secure internet connection, and inject malware into this website next time you visit, she says. And even though some features were being tested within China, once the tech is mature, any foreign client can request the same features in their systems through a simple software update. Alright, we're done with that. That was long. Only 2 articles. No, don't worry. This was like 3 in 1. Alright. Next one should be short. Yeah, here we go. Google patches Chrome 0-day vulnerability as active V8 exploit threatens millions. Google on Wednesday released security updates for the Chrome web browser to address 4 vulnerabilities, including one that said has been exploited in the wild. So this isn't like a major exploit, but still happened, which means it was possible for it to happen again prior to the patch. The 0-day vulnerability in question is this. I'll highlight it, which has been described as a type confusion issue in the V8 JavaScript and WebAssembly issue. Type confusion vulnerabilities can have severe consequences, as they can be weaponized by bad actors to trigger unexpected software behavior, resulting in the execution of arbitrary code and program crashes. Google's Threat Analysis Group, or TAG, has been credited with discovering and reporting the flaw on September 16th, 2025. As is typically the case, the company did not share any additional specifics about how the vulnerability is being abused in real-world attacks, by whom, or the scale of such efforts. This is done to prevent other threat actors from exploiting the issue before users can apply a fix. Google is aware that an exploit for this vulnerability exists in the wild. It acknowledged in a terse advisory is the sixth zero-day vulnerability in Chrome that has either been actively exploited or demonstrated as a proof of concept since the start of the year. Yeah, we've covered most of these other ones, I think, if not all of them. To safeguard against potential threats, it's advised to users to update their Chrome browser to versions. You see the version number for Windows and Apple Mac OS, and this version for Linux. To make sure the latest updates are installed, users can navigate to more help about Google Chrome, then select relaunch. Users of other Chromium-based browsers such as Microsoft Edge, Brave, Opera, and Vivaldi are also advised to apply the fixes as and when they become available. Alright, sorry for the long video, and sorry for once again not sending out the Framework Fridays video this week, or last week. It's the last video in the series, so I'll try and pre-record it tomorrow. I don't know if I'll have the time for that, to be honest. There is a lot of homework this week around, but I'll give it my best shot. And I also have another video coming. This one is actually a real world thing. It's about a scam that affected my friend very recently, and I managed to help my friend deal with it and stop the problem before it got any worse. But I want to tell you guys about it because it could affect any of you if you have a Twitter or X or whatever account. And it is something that shows what we've been talking about, like social engineering attacks. A lot of these scams are not done by technical geniuses. They're done by people who know how to use a computer and can either talk well enough to get people to give them access to their systems, or they can use AI to do that for them. We covered how phishing no longer can be spotted the same way. Phishing has completely changed now. In fact, I think there's an AI called Spam GPT that really, really makes phishing emails super easy to draft and send out. But anyways, that is gonna do it for this one. Thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to comment, like, and subscribe. Let me know what you'd like to see. I'm also thinking of making a home lab video. We'll see. But anyways, this has been the Security Spot. Thank you.